on the bottom page, not to be up in your face, putting groupers in the chase, putting work to paper bays. On the up and I'm on the road, you can eat and you cutting cold. Hyper driving, no cruise control.
Let's talk about NXT. Then maybe we'll talk about this new Evolve champion, which is extremely strange decision they made. And we may talk about the NIL talent as well, because it includes some interesting faces. But first, we're going to talk about NXT. There's a lot of things that happen on this show. Not all of them good. None of them too bad. Just some things that happen. But the main event, boy, let me tell you, I liked it. We started the show with Jasper Troy attacking Obafemi in the parking lot, chokeslammed him on the windshield, and then they told the story throughout the night about whether Obafemi was going to be 100% walking into this match. And then guess what? Obafemi walked into the match with taped ribs and a taped wrist, and Jasper Troy gave him everything he could possibly give him. Jasper Troy versus Obafemi for the NXT Championship. This is Jasper Troy's first match on television. And he looked good, actually. He didn't have to do a lot. I mean, the guy is huge. So they're not asking him to do a hell of a lot. But looked dominant and monstrous. And he did that. You know, they did a spot where he was whipping Obafemi into the turnbuckle. And the middle turnbuckle broke. That can, you know, they did some more destruction later when Obafemi tossed him through the barricade. You know, they were just doing some really cool stuff, man. Booker T was, no bread, no water, just meat. And then the crowd is doing the same thing. I don't know if they could hear him or not, but they were in tune with Booker T as he was saying, just meat. It's amazing how he's getting these guys over. Oh, he's the worst commentator, oh, blah, blah, blah. Then why is everybody quoting him? Why is he the one getting everybody over? Interesting. Anyway, Jasper Troy hit a big choke slam, a black hole slam, and only got 2 for each. I think the black hole slam was supposed to be his finisher. Obafemi landed a very sloppy fall from grace. It looked more like a spine buster. It was a 1, 2, and then the referee said Jasper Troy kicked out. His shoulder was barely off the mat. I mean, it was negligible. So they ran the spot again so that Obafemi could get the power bomb and get the pin. And that was it. Obafemi wins the match versus Jasper Troy. But let me tell you, Jasper Troy was actually very impressive here. And, I still don't think it was a great idea for him to wrestle in his first match for the title and lose. But they really showed what he could do, And I'm very impressed, and I think he'll be back. He seemed like the kind of guy that Sean's going to come up with something else for him. And I like the look, actually. It gave me a little bit of Crush. I hate Crush. Everybody knows I hate Crush. But like 1996, 1997 Jailhouse Crush, his look gives me that vibe. And it also gives me a very Abyss-like vibe from TNA. So Jasper Troy, just get rid of that first name. That first name sucks ass. Find something vicious like Malice Troy or, Killer Troy or, Knucklehead Troy, Knuckleball Troy or something. Something cool. Jasper just sounds like you work on the plantation. Please change that first name. The first match on the show, Ethan Page defeats Super Sean Legacy. Match was okay. Sean Legacy was, impressive as usual. Didn't really expect Sean Legacy to win, but I did kind of expect him to get more, I think. I don't think he got enough. Sean Legacy was a guy who they gave him a lot in the match with Javon Evans and a couple of other matches he was in. But here, they seemed to pull back a little bit on what they were going to let him do. But he ends up losing to the Twisted Grin, of course. Ricky Starks attacked Ethan Page after the match. He chased him backstage. Ava looked at Ricky Starks and says that, his throat's still scarred up. He's not medically cleared, and kicked him out. And says she doesn't want him to come back until he's medically cleared. So I thought he was being called up. Nope, he's just in this forever feud with Ethan Page. That's a mistake. Get him out of this thing. Get him out of this this forever feud with Ethan Page. Get him out of here. So backstage, JC Jane is giving Ava a hard time for not telling her about the new signing, and she wants to build a rapport. Then out of nowhere, some small child walked up and slapped JC Jane in the face. JC Jane's smart though. She didn't take the bait. She wanted she knew that this young lady, Lainey Reed, wanted to have a match with her, and she didn't want to give Lainey Reed the match, so she kind of laughed it off, only to get slapped again. Then Fallon Henley instigated, like, you got to take the match now. So JC Jane accepted the challenge and was giving Lainey Reed a title shot later tonight. I got to say, I thought they were stopping the breakup of Fatal Influence, but it seems like it's still going on. Like, they're still at each other's throats. JC Jane and Fallon Henley. They're still sniping and mean girling with each other. Interesting. I thought it was a plot to get people to lower their guard, but no, it's a real thing that's still going on. I don't know. Why is it still going on? I don't know. They did a Lainey Reed vignette where she called herself the Southern Sensation. She said she was a rodeo champion. She ran track and she loves taking opportunities. And you know what? They got out there, and Lainey Reed doesn't have enough of a Southern accent. It was okay, but it wasn't like Lacey Evans. Like Lacey Evans had a cartoon Southern accent. Lainey Reed doesn't. Here's two things about this Lainey Reed. One, she made a rookie mistake, and she wore the exact same gear as JC Jane. They were wearing the exact same color. It looked like if both people picked Ryu from Street Fighter. Who is who? Lainey Reed also looks a whole lot like Isla Dawn. Like, whoever does her makeup made her look like Isla Dawn. And if I didn't know that Isla Dawn had already been fired, I'd have thought Isla Dawn was in this match. Now, Lainey Reed, in terms of the match, was okay. I wasn't super impressed. I've seen clips of her doing better than what she did here, but maybe it might have been a thing of she's working with JC Jane, and JC is not that advanced, and she's more meat and potatoes and not as flashy as some of Lainey's other opponents. We got a regular distraction finish here with Fallon Henley distracting Lainey Reed, and the discus forearm came up, and she got the pin. So Fallon Henley, despite the fact that they're mean girling on each other, they're still helping one another. Friends. How many of us have them? Ava comes out next and says, well, she got to run this idea by JC Jane, because they talked about this earlier. She's setting up a match for Evolution. There's going to be 4 one-on-one matches, and each winner is going to earn a spot in a Fatal 4-Way, and that Fatal 4-Way winner will face JC Jane at Evolution. Let me tell you, I almost threw up. Because they're building a Fatal 4-Way match. Why on God's green are we doing this? So, let's put that to the side. Let's put to the side that it's a Fatal 4-Way match, because the singles matches that they put together actually look pretty cool. Zarya versus Izzy Dame. That looks like that might be interesting. Lola Vice versus Jordan Grace. That's probably going to be in one of the main events next week. Man, they set Lola Vice up, didn't they? I like Lola Vice too, man. Look what they did to her. Jada Parker versus Thea Hale. Well, they're already feuding, so that makes sense. Lash Legend versus Kalani Jordan. And they're already feuding, so this makes sense. So we got some interesting stuff here. I fully expect Jordan Grace, Zarya. Well, maybe Izzy Dame will beat Zarya, because they're doing a storyline with Izzy Dame where she's, fighting off weakness and all that sort of stuff. So maybe she'll win. Lash Legend for sure is beating Kalani Jordan, and Jada Parker should probably beat Thea Hale. So of these 4, I think we're probably looking at maybe Jordan Grace versus JC Jane at Evolution. And that'll probably be when Jordan Grace gets the belt. That seems to be very sensible. And it's not totally out of pocket, but I don't think JC Jane is going to be champion for a long time. We're in here for a good time, brother, not a long time. Now, the Izzy Dame story that they're doing here is that she's some kind of oracle, I guess. She can see things. They're doing a storyline where she is the one who is perceiving weakness in the culling and getting rid of the weakness. That's her reasoning for hitting Brooks Jensen with the chair. He didn't believe in the family. He didn't believe in the group. And he's the one who got pinned in the tag team match. So they set up another tag team match where I had to watch Shawn Spears, and that's never a good time. And then they made it even worse by putting Inamura and Briggs in there with them. I just wanted to throw my TV. God damn. Talk about a waste of time. What that hurt. It hurts to have this on TV at that point in time. Very disrespectful, very uncomfortable. We go backstage and they make things even worse because Inamura and Briggs are complaining about losing the match. And then walks up Chicken Leg, Foghorn Leghorn, AJ Francis. Fuck! Just can't get away from bums. So First Class, Casey Navarro's on NXT. That's very cool. He's very small. He's smaller than I thought. Jesus Christ. They get into an argument with Inamura and Briggs. They plan to be the NXT Tag Team Champions. And then Elijah shows up, and he's very calm for a guy who got screwed out of a world title. And there's that. And so First Class leaves. And then Trick Williams later on challenges everybody to a 6-man tag. So I guess Trick Williams and First Class are only a trio on NXT. They're not a trio on TNA. I don't know. They didn't interact with each other at all on TNA. But now they're going to team next week, and their opponents are going to be Inamura, Briggs, and Elijah. That's disgusting. Absolute pig shit. I tell you what. AJ Francis, Josh Briggs, and Inamura? God damn, man. God damn. You have to cut me some slack. Sheesh. I need a break. Just one of those guys is enough. You gave me 3. Holy hell. So Chase U laments their bad decision to challenge Dark State. Andre Chase is taking charge now. This Chase U is not nearly as fun as the other one. They need to get to the fun part. Mariah May, she had a vignette that said that she's about beauty and grace and punching people in the face. She was sitting in the bathtub. I thought they were going to do a timeless Toni Storm style gimmick with her. And I was cringing at the idea, like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. But they went Hollywood with it. And then they went even further. They went Bewitched. That show was old when I was a kid. I used to watch Bewitched on rerun. But this is where she revealed her new name, Blake MONROE. And I will be referring to her as Mariah May. Because Blake, as a name for a woman, I don't know. I don't think Blake is a unisex name. I'm not buying it. Don't like Blake. I was told, of course, that Blake is the name of her niece. And I say, well, sometimes you gotta disappoint kids, man. Sometimes you gotta tell kids to fuck off. This name sucks. So we're gonna go with Mariah, but Blake it is. I didn't think they were going to go so far away from her actual name, but they're keeping her character mostly the same. She's still sort of flirty and, teasing and all that sort of stuff, which is what she was doing in AEW, which is what she also did in Stardom. So her character doesn't seem to have changed that much, but they're using a cartoon for her now. Again, it's based off the TV show Bewitched. Yes, it's a very old television show. And I can't say it was one of my favorite shows, but it was a show that I never had a problem watching. I don't know how they're going to integrate that into her character outside of just kind of taking the aesthetic. But, can she wiggle her nose? Because I don't think anybody can do that outside of TV magic, but we'll see. Good old Elizabeth Montgomery. R.I.P. Unless she's still alive, which she cannot be, right? She can't still be alive. She has to be like 100, right? I checked. She died in 1995. She was in her 60s. So if she was still alive, she would be almost 100. Jesus Christ! Well, R.I.P. I was right the first time. The name Blake MONROE, not a fan. Don't like it. Don't even respect it. It's not good. I don't like the name Blake. Don't like it at all. Sorry. I'm going to be very judgmental here. Luca Crucifino was talking on the phone, and Tony D'Angelo was very paranoid. And he's going to take care of some business. Got some business to take care of. So we have a tag team match. Luca Crucifino and Tony D'Angelo versus the High Rise, the two black guys whose name I can never remember. That's why I was calling them TNT. I think their name is Tyrone and Tyreek. Is that right? I don't know. Anyway, Stack showed up with a crowbar like the good old days. Then Tony D'Angelo attacked him. He dropped the crowbar. Luca Crucifino picked up the crowbar and stood behind Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo missed his cue to turn around and turned around way late. Then he still managed to see Crucifino with the crowbar. He was upset. He thought he was going to get attacked. Turns out that was just a distraction. Then he gets knocked down. Crucifino does. He drops the crowbar, and High Rise hit a move on Tony D'Angelo and win. Man, you are officially in NXT too long when you're losing to guys whose names I don't even remember. Tony D'Angelo is overcooked in NXT. I'm not so sure what's happening here. It's time to move him forward, though. I'm not saying move him to the main roster, but I mean whatever the next phase of his career is, it's time to go that route. Luca Crucifino is not bad, though. I like him. And I like Stacks, too. So I respect that this is still going on, but I don't know. I don't like the idea of Tony D'Angelo losing a bunch of matches. It's the most matches he's lost in a row and I think ever. I don't think he's ever lost as many matches in a row. Charlie Dempsey shook Miles Bourne's hand after Ren Sinclair guilt tripped him. Then Javon Evans giggling and showed up. I don't know what's going on here. Tavion Heiston decided he wants to leave the No Quarter Cash crew. Charlie Dempsey said no. Javon Evans stuck his nose in their business. Like, what is this kid up to? And then Charlie Dempsey left. And I'm like, okay, now they're telling the story of Tavion Heights wanting to leave. It's like maybe they should do something with Miles Bourne since he left. And then that inspires Tavion to leave. But since Miles isn't doing anything, why should Tavion care? He should try to be like a tag team champion with Charlie or something. That seemed like that would be fun, right? So Ren Sinclair, she wrestled earlier in the night. She wrestled against Lash Legend. The match was not particularly great. And Lash Legend kind of botched her finish a little bit. They gave Lash Legend a new theme song that feels a lot like Project Pat's Chicken Head. That's if you hear woo 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 chicken head. That's what this feels like. I don't know. I think they formed the song where it would be like a whoop whoop sound in it so that people can sing along to it. But to me, it just comes across like whoop whoop chicken head. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate Project Pat so much. I hate him with the heat of 1,000 suns. I know he's a pastor now, changed his life around, give him big thumbs up. But I really, really don't like Project Pat. All right? Literally, do not like him. Don't like him at all. Hate his music. I should say, when I say I don't like him, I mean his music, of course. I don't know him personally. Not a big fan. So I'm really not a big fan of this music that they got for our horse-legged sister, Lash Legend. I'm not a fan. And she does have legs like Secretariat. And I saw him earlier. And I'm like, well, look at the musculature in those legs. What the hell is going on? It's like stained wood. Why though? Alright, that's NXT in a nutshell. For the most part, the show was okay. I wasn't thrilled with Ren Sinclair and Lash Legend. Wasn't thrilled with the Culling tag team match. But Laney Reed versus JC Jane was okay. I was a big fan of Obafemi versus Jasper Troy. The opening match was okay too. The Blake Monroe thing, kind of iffy. I liked the vignette. Didn't like the name. They may go in a good direction with the character. I'm actually very interested in what they do because she's not in that tournament thing, the Fatal 4-Way tournament. So they must have something else planned for her. My guess would be the Women's North American title. Now, to have your big signing go for the NXT North American Championship rather than the major main title tells me that it might be one of those situations where Jordan is actually staying in NXT. Because if Jordan Grace ends up winning the title, which she definitely should, then you can have Mariah May as the North American champion until the two of them, meet at some point in the future. Now I'm just guessing, of course, because they might do a switcheroo where somebody gets hurt or beat up or taken out, and then Blake MONROE takes their spot. But I think it was very intentional that they didn't put her in this tournament situation because clearly they got something else planned. But since this tournament is for the main title, I don't know what else it could be outside of her feuding with the North American champion. All right, before we go, let's talk about a little bit of Evolve. So last week, which was June the 3rd or June the 2nd or something like that, Evolve crowned their first men's champion, and it is Jackson Drake, a young man who apparently is friends with Javon Evans, and the two of them, grew up together or whatever. He's a very young man. He's only 21, but he looks a lot like Austin Theory in the face, and he doesn't have his musculature, hit the size of his body. And he also kind of wrestles like every other 21-year-old skinny white dude. And the thing about this is it seemed like a shoo-in for Keanu Carver to win the Evolve Championship. And then he went absolute nutso 2 or 3 times, tweeting negative about, Jacob Fatu and the Samoans and all this sort of stuff. And I said before that he might have fucked himself out of a decent position. Now, when you actually watch Evolve, and I've watched Evolve, they pretty much pointed out who the stars were from the beginning, and Keanu Carver was one of the people they were clearly building around. He was getting just as much steam as that Kylie Armstrong young lady was when she first started in Evolve. They both were getting really decent pushes. And then out of nowhere, right at the championship match, they swerved us with this Jackson Drake thing. And now they've given the title to the Vanity Project group that's everybody laughs at every time they do anything on TV. So something tells me that, this guy pretty much fucked himself out of position. And this was kind of a burial. Not, I won't say a burial. That's the wrong use of the word. A punishment for his tweets and his hubris. And I hope that wasn't the case. Because, again, I think Keanu Carver is a young man. And, he probably could learn a lot from shutting the fuck up. Sometimes young dudes, they pop off at the mouth too much. They need to be told to chill out. But, just watching the show, it doesn't seem like this guy is championship material or that they were building anything with him. He didn't even seem like the second guy that you would put the belt on. It's very weird that it was him. And I think it was kind of a weak choice personally. But again, he's a young guy. We'll see if he actually grows into the role. Maybe he'll change my mind. And maybe I'm wrong. And Keanu Carver didn't fuck himself out of a spot. But I'm pretty sure he did. I don't know if he knows that or not. Now, speaking of spots, let's talk about the NIL program. There's only 3 people I want to discuss here. WWE announced their new NIL talent. These are still people who are in college, but essentially WWE are sponsoring them. And 3 of them stand out, of course. One is Jacob Henry, who is the son of Mark Henry. Another is Brock Rechsteiner, who is the son of Scott Steiner. And the third one is TJ Bullard, who is the son of Titus O'Neil. So this is very cool. You could have Braun Breaker and his little cousin on the roster at the same time. We could have a new Steiners tag team. I know people don't like nepotism in wrestling. I don't know why they don't. Wrestling is a nepotism business through and through. It always has been and likely always will be. I mean, you're just going to have to get over it. People always putting over their sons-in-laws, their daughter's boyfriend who happens to be a wrestler. Those people always end up getting pushed. But NIL is just, an opportunity for WWE to help, these young people, some of whom just happen to be related to talent. Now, interesting bit is they did not do an NIL for Shane McMahon's sons who play football. And I wonder why not. You would think that would be natural, wouldn't it? Shane has two sons playing college football, and neither one of them can get an NIL deal. We all know that they're rich bastards. They don't need an NIL deal. They're coasting off of daddy's, grandpa's money. They'll be fine. But it ought to be interesting to see if these young talents end up in the pipeline and see how far they end up going. So WWE has some more nepotism coming your way soon. And there may be even more, as of course there's more Anawaiis floating around in the indies now. So you never know what you're going to get. Alright, anyway, NXT was a decent show. I love the main event. And like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.